Hi there, my name is Aurel and I'm the Chief Economist of Fractal. Today we want to look at a few economic aspects of the protocol, especially how we generate the money in order to reward users for their data that they can share in a private and secure way. Additionally, we will also share some thoughts on some general market dynamics that we will expect. In order to make our discussion a bit more concrete, we picked the digital ad market in the US, which was $100 billion last year. In the US, we also have roughly 300 million active internet users. As you probably know, digital by now is the largest distribution channel for marketers compared to traditional channels like TV or newspapers. One issue in the system, in the ecosystem, clearly is that out of this $100 billion, only 30 to 40% of the money ends up with the publishers. The other part, meaning 70 to 60%, stays within parties between advertisers and publishers. One group of those players enrich the publisher's data with additional data, often coming from, let's say, questionable data sources. Advertisers, on average, spend 10% for this service, for this enrichment. Please be aware this number, the 10%, kind of like heavily depends on the context. For some data, you're willing to spend much more than 10%, sometimes 100, 200%. For other data, you're willing to pay much less. The 10% really is a rough estimate, rough average from different reports and also different industry expert opinions. One of the biggest challenges of the industry remains ad fraud. Different reports have different estimates, the highest one stating that we see 33% of ad fraud. Adobe estimates that 28% of web traffic comes from non-human actors. This means that every third dollar of the digital ad spend is being wasted. When Uber turned off 120 million out of the 150 million advertising budget, nothing happened to the app installs. When eBay paused all paid search spend in the Western US, nothing happened to site visits and sales. Also mainly due to this effect of fraud, right? Again, we're spending a significant share of the ad spend for fraud. We're spending $1 out of every $3 on ad fraud. And if you look back to the $100 billion and put it into context with the numbers that we just saw, this means that almost half of the ad spend goes to either parties that enrich traffic with questionable data sources or go to fraudsters. And this 43 billion is what we call the efficiency gap. Let's remind ourselves briefly what the protocol is all about. We want to incentivize users for sharing their data in a secure and privacy-preserving way. And with this data, we do not need those third parties anymore. And even more important, we can also avoid ad fraud. With the protocol, it is verified that behind the generated traffic, there's a real human being. This means fraud becomes practically impossible. And this also means that we have 43 billion US dollars available for rewarding those users without any player needing to spend more money on advertising. We just take it from the fraudsters and give it back to where it belongs, to the users. If we consider the numbers of the total ad spend, the efficiency gap, and also the total amount of active internet users, we get to a data value per person, right? With the verified first-party data, we are able to close the efficiency gap. This means the efficiency gap is available for distribution to the users. And if we consider 300 million active internet users, this means we have $143 per person per year. And you generate this money without any change of your behavior. You just continue surfing, you just continue sharing your data, but now in a privacy-preserving way. And the good thing is, looking at the trends of digital advertising, this number is about to double in the next years, as the absolute digital ad spend is also going to double. Let's finish this talk with a few considerations on the overall ecosystem. The benefits for the users are obvious. They receive money for their data, they have more data privacy and higher quality content that they can consume. Publishers, on the one hand, they will be able to charge higher prices, right? For certain performance campaigns, you want to reach a certain audience, and it might not be too important where you reach this audience. With verified first-party data, right, you can be sure that you reach the audience, and it's not too relevant anymore what publisher the ad was being displayed on. Right? This means some low-quality publishers are able to charge higher prices as they're now providing higher quality traffic. However, with the same argument, advertisers now have a larger pool of publishers to choose from. Right? As fraud is becoming impossible, they have a larger like a pool of publishers they can choose from, also from lower quality publishers, as they can now be sure that the traffic is verified. This will create a certain pricing pressure. However, without fraud, we will see a major shift from traditional data marketing sources more to digital ad spend. Right? We will see more and more marketers increasing the digital ad spends. This means the absolute numbers will increase. In a nutshell, we expect the unit prices for one ad decreasing, right? However, as the absolute numbers are increasing, the publishers will still make higher revenues, and the advertisers are able to reach a larger audience at the same price. On top of this, advertisers for the very first time are able to analyze their audiences in a meaningful way. Right now, if $1 out of $3 is being wasted, is fraudulent, how can you make meaningful analytics on this data? With removing the fraud, for the very first time, advertisers are able to reach an audience consisting of human beings and also getting a better understanding of how this audience behaves. We would say this is most likely a win-win situation for everyone but the fraudsters. This was a very brief and short overview of a couple of economic aspects of how the protocol is going to impact the ad industry. We will follow up on a couple of those points and give more details within the next weeks in our blog. Thank you very much for your attention. Take care and goodbye.